graphically sensual. They will assault your senses. They are incorporated. They will bend your mind, shatter your sanity, and seal your fate. Lethal Ladies Inc. Try us on for size. We will take your breath away.
Cannon fodder from your television screen with fury and force. Golan and Globus are at the helm, shipping out films that don't give a damn. Strange and bizarre, comedic, insane, and even deliciously horrific. They're busting at the seams. Cannon fodder from your theater screens with fury and force. Cannon fodder from your theater screens with fury and force.
Howdy, gang, and welcome to another edition of Cannon Fodder. Hopefully, I can get through this before the thunderstorms start because they still say they're coming. I keep hoping against hope that we won't get any, and maybe we won't, but they say they're on their way. So I'm going to try to get through this edition of Cannon Fodder without incident. And tonight we're going to be talking about Hot Bubblegum, which is the third film in the Lemon Popsicle series. If you're not sure what the Lemon Popsicle movies are, I would encourage you to look them up. They're pretty much teen sex comedy films in the vein of, like I thought this one had shades of Porky's, which is a film by Bob Clark that was filmed with Canadian actors and actresses. Now, the original Lemon Popsicle series takes place in Tel Aviv, which explains why Golan Globus had something to do with it, because they are Israeli. So this was the third film in the Lemon Popsicle series. Came out in 1981. Boaz Davidson directed it. And Boaz Davidson went on to do a remake of this one in particular called Last American Virgin. And I'm going to be talking about Last American Virgin later on another edition of Cannon Fodder, because Cannon not only put out the Lemon Popsicle series, but they also put out Last American Virgin starring Lawrence Mawson and Diane Franklin. You're going to hear me talk about a film that really pissed me off at the end of the film. I mean, I was with it for the long haul, and then when it got to the end, I was like, nah, I can't believe that. But we'll get to that one soon. So what is this particular Lemon Popsicle film about? Well, we've got, your main characters again. We have Benji, only in the Israeli version of it. He's called Benzi, but in English, he's called Benji. So Benji has a girlfriend named Doris, but then an old flame comes back into his life, Nikki, who's very flirty. And, she even says at one point in time in the movie that she feels like she should have as many boyfriends or lovers or whatever as she would like to have. And these are pretty young kids. I don't know how old they were exactly, but they look quite a bit younger than, their American counterparts. So, I don't know. Maybe that, they looked, some of them looked all of anywhere between 14 to 16. Now, they could have been older, and maybe in Israel they have different norms and stuff like that. I don't know. But they all looked quite young. So we have Benji, we have Huey, and we have Bobby, and they're joined by another friend of theirs who his name is escaping me now, but he wears glasses in the film. So his friends all warn him about, getting involved with Nikki. They're like, hey, you got this great girlfriend named Doris, but basically Doris won't put out, and Benji's getting frustrated. So he turns to Nikki because he thinks Nikki's going to give him what he's craving. And, there's a lot of madcap adventures that the three main boys, Benji and Huey and Bobby, go through, including going to get piano lessons from a woman that they say if you grab her in her nether regions, she'll, be all over you. And that's put to the test, and Bobby gets what he wants, because Bobby always gets what he wants, as we've seen in these two lemon popsicle movies that I've talked about. Hey, Blissful. But then when poor Huey, he's the overweight friend that gets made fun of and stuff like that, and things always don't turn out correct for him. Now, he's got a girlfriend who seems to be pretty much devoted to him. Now, we saw in the first Lemon Popsicle movie that I talked about, that was released by Canon, that his girlfriend, for some reason in that first one, actually came on to Benji and almost ruined the relationship that he had with the girlfriend that he had in that movie. So she seems a little more devoted to Huey and a little bit nicer this time around. So Huey, goes and tries to have fun with the young, petite, pretty piano teacher. And he makes the mistake of saying he's an advanced pianist. And so he gets the older sister, and he tries to come on to her and grab her in her nether regions, and she chases him out of the apartment, beating him with her shoe. Then there's the complication of Benji's cousin. And I'm not sure I hope it's not a blood cousin, but it's Frida. And Frida flaunts her beauty and her sexiness around, and Benji is following her around like a puppy dog with its tongue hanging out. And so is his dad. And it's like, okay, this is just weird. But again, I hope that girl was old enough to be taking off her clothes and stuff like that, because breasts were shown, the ass was shown and stuff like that. I didn't recall seeing any penises or anything in this from the boys. But the girls were, shown quite a bit, especially Frida. Frida, I guess, was supposed to be the sex pot, even though Nikki is quite a bit of a sex pot, but I think we saw more of Frida than we did Nikki. So you have that complication. And just like I said, just a typical sex comedy, madcap adventures that they go on, very similar to the Porky's movies. In fact, the very beginning of the movie, Benji and Huey and Bobby and their other friend have made this little hole in the changing room wall where they can watch the girls taking their clothes off and getting into their bathing suits and getting ready to go out to the beach. And Huey gets the big idea. He's going to climb on top of this building and peek down in there so he can see everything better. And he's telling his friends everything he's seeing. And all of a sudden, because he is overweight, he crashes down on the women and gets chased out of the changing room by another older woman who is again slapping him with a shoe and chasing him all over the beach. So, and guys and gals, I know I jumped right into the movies, but it's just because I want to make sure that I'm getting everything done before the storm start, because I'm not exactly sure when they're going to start. It could be 10, it could be a little bit earlier. So I will try to do my housekeeping stuff after we talk about the movies. That way, should something happen and I lose power or something else, I can, say that I talked about the movies before the storm started. Blizzle, you say no about the storms. Well, I'm hoping and praying that we don't have any in any event. But it was rather warm. It was like 82 degrees today. And I'm guessing a cold front's coming through. So you know what happens when a warm front and a cold front mix? Makes for some dynamic weather. And sometimes some dangerous weather. But a girl can hope, right? So, anyway, Hot Bubblegum or Lemon Popsicle 3, or the other title, I guess this was the Hebrew title, Shishuf Name, which I don't even know what that is in English, but pretty decent film. The only thing that I find a little bit annoying with these films, Going Steady was the other one that I watched and talked about early on in the Cannon Fodder series. And this one as well. And I assume it covers the same kind of time period in all of them. There's great music in this. There are Elvis Presley tunes and other tunes from the 50s that are played, but they seem to overtake the dialogue sometimes. And I noticed that with Going Steady, and I also noticed with Hot Bubblegum or Lemon Popsicle 3. So the music was great on its own, and not only Elvis but Richie Valens, the song Donna, all that stuff I like. But like I said, it kind of overtook. It was too loud sometimes and overtook the dialogue that I assumed that we were supposed to hear. And most of the time, they try to hide the fact that they're using popular songs. In fact, with Girls Night Out, I'm not so sure that they got the rights to have like Tommy James and the Shondells songs and other songs from like the 60s and 70s that were playing throughout, even though Girls Night Out was supposed to take place in the 80s, but they had classic rock songs playing. So this was the reverse. This was where you could hear the songs just fine, and the songs are great, but I like to hear the dialogue too. So that was my only gripe with Hot Bubblegum. This was dubbed in English, so I wasn't having to read subtitles. So I think I had to read subtitles with Going Steady, but Steve was able to get me a copy that was dubbed in English. So it was a little bit easier for me to digest this film rather than Going Steady, which came out in 1979. That one came out in 1979. This one came out in 1981. So as far as a rating, I think it's worthy of 4 deadites out of 5. I could see myself waiting a little bit and going back and watching this one again at a later time. I enjoy the lemon popsicle movies for what they are. In fact, they don't make me mad like Last American Virgin did. And again, you're going to hear me talk about that when I do cover Last American Virgin on a later episode of Cannon Fodder. Okay. So the next one is a horror film, a Christmas horror film that I watch ever since I discovered it. I watch it every year around Christmas time. And that is DeathHouse, aka Silent Night, Bloody Night. I do have a physical copy of it. This is a DVD. It's a horror double feature that I picked up many, many moons ago that has Christmas Evil and Silent Night, Bloody Night. And I got a funny story to tell y'all about how I ended up with this DVD. Many, many moons ago, I was in my local mall and I was looking in one of the movie stores in the mall. And I came across some like cheap off-brand, DVDs that had 2 movies on it. And I mistook Silent Night, Bloody Night for Silent Night, Deadly Night, which I hadn't seen in years since I rented it. I was like, oh, cool. I got this movie. Took it home. I watched Christmas Evil, and I like Christmas Evil pretty well. And then I was like, all right, now it's time to watch Silent Night, Bloody Night, thinking it was Silent Night, Deadly Night. And the first time I watched, I thought it was boring as all get out. I kid you not. I did not like it. I was like a lot of other people that have seen this movie, and a lot of other people didn't ever come to like it like I did. Now, the funny thing is, this came out in 1973, but Kanan did not release it until 1983. So apparently, someone else must have had ownership of this in 1973 and put it out. And this is one of those Diamond Entertainment double discs or double movie discs. It doesn't actually have 2 discs in it; it just has one. Hey, Uncle Bill. No, really, this movie grew on me. I like I said, I'm not gonna lie. The first time I saw it, it was boring as all get out. But I'm here to tell you guys and gals, this one does grow on you if you give it a chance. Now, Uncle Bill or anybody else is welcome to say that it is boring, or that they don't like it, or that they do not wish to ever see it ever again in their life. But if you've never seen it, I urge you to give it a chance. So, what is Silent Night, Bloody Night about? So, one of the things I think that I did not get about this movie when I first watched it is after the first rather brutal murder. And I don't know if Uncle Bill remembers the first murder in the film or not, but I was like, whoa, this is pretty bloody and gory and brutal and all that. So we are told the story at the beginning of supposedly in a house where, we come to find out that Wilfred Butler, whose daughter had become mentally ill, and we find out later in the film what led to her mental illness, her depression, and all that stuff. But she became severely depressed, and her father decided to bring in all these doctors from the outside, hoping that they could help his daughter, Mary Ann. And they brought, all these, really severely damaged and disturbed patients with them. And they weren't good doctors, but we'll get to that. But we find out something terrible befell Mary Ann, supposedly. But we also find out that, Wilford Butler basically became a recluse in his older age, and that it was believed that on Christmas, I think it was Christmas Eve, it could have been Christmas Day, um, many years before the movie begins, that he accidentally caught himself on fire and burned up and died. Okay. So his grandson, Jeffrey Butler, has inherited the house and he's wanting to sell it. He's wanting to get it out of the family, he has no interest at all in having it. So he sent um, a realtor who has a very attractive mistress. He even calls his wife from the road while his mistress is sitting in the car. But they come to the house. They're going to spend the night in the house. And then the next day, he's evidently going to meet up with Jeffrey and they're going to get all the details lined out with the town. The town just basically would like to demolish the house, forget it ever existed. Um, and they're willing to offer a lot of money to the realtor if they can just have it and just be done with it and just demolish it. Okay. So somebody else, it looks like someone has broken out of an asylum and they make their way back to town. And someone attacks the realtor and his mistress in bed with an axe. And I will say that that is the most brutal murder of the entire film. Now, after that happens, it's kind of a slow burn. Some people may say boring. I say slow burn. And there were some couple, maybe a couple of um, unsettling scenes where it appears that Mary Ann is still alive and she's calling the different townspeople, the mayor, whose daughter's played by Mary Warnoff, Tess, the telephone switchboard operator, gets a call. And when they all get calls, the person on the other end of the phone says, "It's Mary Ann. Will you come to my house? I'm sick. Please come." And then, of course, I don't know why they come, but they do. And then they are attacked and killed. Tobin, who is one of the, I guess you would call it, I think he's like the newspaper man. And he doesn't speak, he just rings a bell all the time. And I think Mary Warnoff looks attractive in this movie. I think, and she never was ugly, but I think her features got harder and she got kind of more severe looking as she got older. But I thought she was rather attractive in Silent Night, Bloody Night. So Mary Warnoff's character ends up getting involved with Jeffrey, and there's some weird stuff that goes on, and some people may find it a little too confusing. I think they were trying to make Jeffrey a red herring. Is he the one that's killing people off? Is he the one that's posing as Mary Ann, as his own mother? What exactly is going on here? And then we find out more of the story about Wilford Butler, about Jeffrey, about Mary Ann, and why she became depressed. The reason why was her own father molested her and got her pregnant. That's where Jeffrey came from. So Jeffrey was both Wilford Butler's son and his grandson, which is just, So that molestation led to Mary Ann's severe depression. So that's why Wilford Butler had to bring in all these doctors. He thought that maybe one of these doctors would be able to help his poor daughter. And he's ashamed, he's disturbed at what he did to his own daughter. And all he does is want to help her. But what ends up happening is these doctors are not good doctors. They're just, I think it says in the movie, they acted like spoiled relations. They took advantage of Wilford Butler. They made a mockery of his house. They didn't help his daughter. They just were into excess food, excess alcohol. And at one point, Wilford Butler just had enough. He's like, this has got to stop. So he makes the unfortunate mistake of letting the other patients out of I guess they've got them locked in a barn. And they're basically treated like worse than animals. Their clothes are filthy. Who knows what they've been feeding them, if they've been feeding them. And so we also find out that a lot of the patients were the townspeople. I guess they got better and became the townspeople. Mary Warnoff's father, who's the mayor, he was one of the mental patients. Tobin, Tess, all of those, I think even the sheriff, they were all mental patients years ago. And all the mental patients, when Wilford Butler sets them free, they go up to the house, they attack all the doctors and kill them off. And in the process, kill Marianne off. And come to find out, we find out that Wilford Butler did not die. That was a squatter. That was a homeless person staying in the house that burned up. So Wilford Butler never died. He's the one that's been calling people. He's the one that's been saying he's Marianne. He's the one that's been attacking and killing people. And then there's one last, hey, Davy, there's one last hurrah, so to speak, where Jeffrey seems to completely lose his mind. He puts on a cape, and there is a big, attack scene between Wilford Butler, Mary Warnoff's father, again, who's the mayor, and Jeffrey. And they all end up dying, and Mary Warnoff is left. And the final scenes are of her like walking up the path to the house, and you see these bulldozers, and you see a little bit of that at the beginning of the film. And they're going to demolish the house. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, Dana, why did you just tell us the whole story? Well, the reason why in this case is I think people have a lot of misconceptions about this film, that it's a boring film. And if you watch it again, or you watch it for the first time, you say, Uncle Bill was right, or whoever may have said that this was boring, they were right. Dana's wrong. More power to you. I don't mind. But all I would ask is that you go into this movie with an open mind. Give it, 83 minutes of your time, because it's not very long. Like I said, just 83 minutes of your time. And give this one a try. Just, try it on for size a little bit. And so, while not a perfect film, and I can hear Uncle Bill groaning right now, I'm not going to give a 5 deadites out of 5, but I am going to give it a 4 deadites out of 5. Both films I gave 4 deadites out of 5 tonight. I did enjoy it. I do definitely look forward to watching it every year around Christmas time. Those phone calls where it seems like it's Marianne still give me the shivers at times. So, again, all I can say is give this one a try. You may hate it, you may like it, you may just think it's meh, you know. But I would definitely say, give it a try before you definitely say, one way or the other about this film. Like I said, it took me several years between watching it for the first time and saying, well, I'll give it another try, and deciding that I really liked it at that point and that it had creepy moments in it. Okay, so now that I've talked about both of the movies, I'll do the reverse of what I usually do, and I'll do the housekeeping stuff now. Um, Now, barring me being without electricity or anything like that, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I should be doing another They're All Messed Up. And I will be talking about the Jekyll and Hyde portfolio and 7 Murders for Scotland Yard. Now, I think the Jekyll and Hyde portfolio is part slasher film and part porno. So, that should be interesting, but we'll see. And I think the 7 Murders for Scotland Yard is just more of a straight ahead slasher type of film. So you can look forward to that at 8 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night. I still haven't heard back from Candace whether we're going to be doing Friday Foolish. I hope that we can. Again, barring, I know Candace has been sick the last few days. She has strep and type A flu. So she's not feeling too great. So it could be possible that we don't have a Friday Foolish this week, but we'll see. Keep your fingers crossed, folks. And also that, if I do lose power, I have it back by Friday. And we got a couple of watch-alongs coming up this weekend. And they have been picked by you guys. And boy, you guys and gals have jumped all over the new polls I put on there. Keep it up. I love watching the competition grow every time I check these polls. But we will be watching Graduation Day, or having a watch along for Graduation Day on Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Sunday, also at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, will be April Fool's Day. Now, I know it's past April Fool's Day. I get it. But it's still the week of, right? And so that's what we got coming up as far as watch-alongs this weekend. No movie munchies. There could be another Soup and Jowls. I know. I haven't gotten the other Soup and Jowls up. And I'm going to try to talk Steve into doing another Childhood Nightmares with me. It won't be a watch along this time. The debut episode was a watch along for 1982's Don't Go to Sleep, which I had a lot of fun doing that. I had a lot of fun revisiting that movie. But what I want to do for Childhood Nightmares, the second episode, is to hopefully have Steve on here with me talking about his first experiences with Salem's Lot, the original miniseries, and how it scared him as a kid. I think he was maybe all of like 9 or 10 when that miniseries first came out. And I love hearing the story about him being afraid the vampires were going to get him that night after watching the original Salem's Lot miniseries. I think that was originally in 2 parts, so I'm not sure if it was the first part or the second part that scared him. I think it was probably the first part. But keep your fingers crossed, folks, so I can get him on here to discuss that, and we'll be talking all things Salem's Lot for that episode of Childhood Nightmares. Also, I still got the promotions going on deaditesondeck.com, my Deadites on Deck horror shop. Tell them Poe sent you. Hop on over there now. I got a couple of promotions going on. One is buy one candle, get one free using the promo code CandleCraze25 at checkout. The other one is if you spend $30 or more, you can use the promo code SlasherSpring25 at checkout and take take $10 off your entire order. There's lots of new designs coming up. Lethal Ladies designs, Poe designs, who you may be saying, who the hell is Poe? Poe is the official mascot of the Deadites on Deck horror shop. So going to have a bunch of Poe designs and Evil Dead Chicken Poe designs. There will be a movie Munchies coming up at some point this month. Probably not this weekend, but possibly next Sunday. These are pre-recorded now, but you can thank Candace for giving me the idea to make cornbread salad. If you've never had cornbread salad, look that up. It sounds absolutely delicious, and I'm excited. I'm actually so excited I'm going to do a trial run of it this week or this weekend so I can try it out before I actually do one for Movie Munchies. But it's going to be called Children of the Cornbread Salad, and I've already got my thumbnail and everything, so be on the lookout for that coming up soon. And also, if you're not into horror stuff, you can still request custom work. I do custom work at Deadites on Deck at deaditesondeck.com. All you got to do is fill out the form on the homepage of the site. Let me know what it is that you want. I can put your kids, your grandkids, your pets, you and your significant other, whatever you want on t-shirts and hats, maybe even candles, tote bags. I've also got some blended teas on the site. So be sure to hop on over to deaditesondeck.com and check out everything I've got to offer there. Hey, with all that being said, I made it through this without incident, without any thunderstorms just yet. And it is 9:08 right now, Eastern time. But as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do, before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday night, folks. If you've got storms in your forecast, try to dodge those storms, okay? And we'll all get through it together because I think this storm line's stretching from somewhere up north to all the way down south. So it's affecting, it's very widespread. I think in Uncle Bill's area, they may skim on past maybe with some rain. And I hope that everybody else, gets by relatively unscathed tonight. And that is it for me. But I'll see everybody next time.